Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 30th of May 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff, but before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE100. Now, I talked about this one a few times this week already, and basically, even yesterday, I told you about this little area right here near the 7,150 to keep a close eye on it, because as you can see, it continues to play its key role of a strong support. So for now, we're gonna, before we can consider even lower levels, we need to wait for a clear confirmation break below the 7,150 level first, and then we could aim for these slightly lower areas around the 7,077 or the 7,065, and marked by the lows of the 8th of March and the 8th of February respectively. But basically, if we do get a nice drop below the 7,150 level, then yep, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then aim for these areas that I've talked, this area that I've talked about. In terms of the upside here, well, again, it's very tricky here to talk about the upside. In a way, yes, if it travels back above the 7,220 zone, this could maybe give a bit of hope for the bulls. The only problem here starts is these downside resistance lines. So this one first, the very tentative one, short term, and another short term one, which is this one. So in a way, guys, yeah, it could travel, it could retrace back up here. The only thing is that there is a lot of obstacles here for this index. So in a way, what we're going to do here is we're going to wait for a clear break above the of course above the 7,280 zone, and also above this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 23rd of April. So in a way, but even then we will be very careful, because what we're going to target here is this area near the 7,370, which is near the highs of the 21st of May. So this is going to be our target, but only if we see a strong push back above the 7,280 zone. For now, it seems to be more bearish than bullish, but that said, before we get excited about the downside, we need to see that nice good break here below this 7,150 level. Ethereum is doing what I've said is going to do yesterday. So I mean, well, to be honest, it wasn't really that much of a surprise, to be honest. I mean, it did rebound from this nice tentative upside support line, or in other words, now it's actually not a very tentative, it's more of a nice good support line, upside line. But what's more important here is that it traveled higher, it pushed above the 265, it broke above its key area of resistance near the 280 zones. It's currently slightly above that. So this 280 zone was the previous high of this May. So this of course creates this positive atmosphere here for Ethereum. In a way, it has got a chance to travel higher, especially if it continues to trade above this 280 zone. In that scenario, we will target the psychological 300 level, but we'll keep it short and simple. 300, 303, approximately there. That's where we're going to target, and then we'll just see what it wants to do after that. If it wants to maybe retrace back down a little bit, but as long as it remains above the subside support line, we will remain positive. And in terms of the downside here, from this point here, what we need to see is a clear drop below the 265 level before we could examine the downside again. So for now, of course, the downside is slightly off the table, but we'll keep a close eye on this 265 level in case this decides to reverse back down, breaks the upside support line, and drops below the 265 level. And like I said, then we will target the slightly lower areas here, or even around the area around the 200 EMA when it would reach this point here around the 231 level. So for now, basically that's the game plan. The 265 is for the downside, and if it continues to trade above the 280 zone, then yep, this could be a good sign for the bulls to step in again. AUDCAD. Now, very quickly on this one. So I talked about this pair this week as well. Basically, it managed to break this key level of resistance near the 0.9324-25 zone, and it's now traveling higher. It's not far from our target, which is at 200 EMA here near the 0.9375 zone. So we're keeping a close eye on this one because we may see a touch here. But if it struggles to overcome that, then we may see something like this here, maybe a bit of correction back down. Of course, the Canadian dollar is slightly on the weaker side right now, but again, like I said, for looking at this pair specifically, we can, like I said, our target is around this 200 EMA, and then we'll take it from there. If it wants to break above it and stay above this 200 EMA, the next target for us is around the 0.9432. But if it struggles to get above it, then, well, I mean, we may see another slide down here, at least towards the 0.9325, and then we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do, because in a way, as long as it kind of remains above this downside resistance line, we will remain somewhat positive. But let's say if it starts dropping below this area right here, let me just put the arrow, there we go, so around the 0.9250, then this could turn out to be ugly for AUDCAD. So keep your eyes on these guys. EURCAD also very quickly on this one, very interesting. The reason why I wanted to show you this one is a very interesting formation happening here. So basically it's kind of ranging, started ranging from around Thursday last week. It's kind of stuck in this little sideways activity between the 1.5024 zone approximately there on the downside and the 1.5083 on the upside. Now also, in addition to this, you can see that it's also forming at the same time something of a flag, because we do have a nice pull here, and now it's kind of forming something like a flag here, and there, to be honest, as you can see, there are flags within the flag. So basically for now, what we're going to do here is we're going to remain neutral but keep a close eye on these potential breakout points. As I said, the 1.5024 on the downside and the 1.5083 on the upside. If we do see a nice good push through one of these levels, then yep, initially, let's say if we see a drop below the 1.5024, ignore this arrow a little bit. It needs to be a little bit shorter. We're not going to go hard on this one. We're just going to aim for the 1.4977 zone first, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do. But if it decides to reverse to the upside here, according to the textbook, when we see such flags, then a break above the 1.5083 could open the path towards the 1.5115 or the 1.5148 zone, where the last one here is marked by the high of the 13th of May. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. USDJPY, very interesting developments here. So USD GBPY is pushing higher. It's breaking above its key area of resistance right now. This 109.70. Now I talked about this one yesterday when I was covering USDJPY. Basically, I said that this is the one. That's the level that we're talking about for. That's where the one that we're looking for the upside. But again, we need to see a nice, good, clear break and a close. Ideally, a close of the 4-hour candle above this. Then, yep, we will aim for the psychological 110 level, or even a little bit higher towards this 200 EMA, which could be around the 110.25 level by the time this, let's say, approaches that area. For now, of course, we're going to be somewhat we'll be a little bit cautiously bullish, let's put it that way, just in case this suddenly reverses back down and drops lower. So now what we're going to do here in terms of the downside, we're going to wait for a clear break below this key area of support here near the 109.29. But to be honest, let me actually adjust this level slightly, because I believe that this is already not an accurate one, I would say. So basically, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna slightly lower it towards the 200 zone, so 109.20 here. That's where we're going to be looking for in terms of the downside. So just to kind of be on the safe side here, guys. So that's why we're gonna lower it a little bit, lower this potential breaking point, and then we'll target these slightly lower areas, of course the 109 zone, or even further below that 108.70. but for now it seems that it wants to travel higher. Let's see if it actually continues in that direction. Like I said, for now we're cautiously bullish, but we will not exclude a potential reversal back down. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on this session, that's GBPUSD, because this one's a very tricky one here, because you can see that yesterday it traveled lower. It and it managed to kind of get held here near this 1.261715 area. Now actually, let me just adjust this one a little bit as well. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. So basically, this 1.2615 area kind of continues to hold the pair nicely. You can see that it rebounded slightly. The only thing is that, of course, the downside pressure still remains, still isn't kind of in play. But for better confirmation of the downside, first, ideally, we would like to see a drop below the 1.2615. Ideally, we would like to see a close of the 4-hour candle below this, and only then we will target lower areas. The only thing is that don't forget that the pair is quite oversold here on the shorter time frame. That said, it has been oversold for quite a while, and it kind of didn't stop the pair from sliding lower. So that's why for now we're going to be very careful with GBP. In terms of the upside, as you can see by the arrow that I've just adjusted, that's the level where we're looking for in order to kind of consider higher areas again. So basically, we not only do we need to see a nice good push above the downside resistance line here, but also a nice good break above the 1.2750 zone, approximately there. Let me just actually adjust this level just slightly there. There we go. Just to make it more accurate. There we go. So 1.2750, that's what we're looking for in order to kind of consider at higher levels. And like I said, if we do get a nice push above it, then yep, we will aim for at least for the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, which could be around the 1.2865 by the time it approaches that area. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Like I said, it is a very tricky pair because it's balancing again near its lows, near the 1.2615. But before we could consider further declines, we need to see that nice good break and a close of the 4-hour candle below this area, below this 1.2615, before we could examine the downside. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. And if you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, as always, that's 13:15 GMT time. For now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.